Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Reclaiming My Life. I'm one of your hosts, Tramika Cooper. This episode, we will be discussing guilty pleasures. But before we get into it, let's bring on my co hosts, Coach Claudia Massey and Dr. Tiffany Tyson. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Doing awesome.
How are you?
Good. Y'all ready to get into this?
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So I did a little bit of research on guilty pleasures. Now, guilty pleasure refers to something that brings us immense enjoyment, but at the same time, we feel, a sense of guilt or shame because, we feel like we might be judged by others. But I looked up, the term guilty pleasure first appeared in the New York Times in 1860 to describe a brothel. That would have been my first thought, when you say guilty pleasure, something like a brothel. But today the term describes any pleasurable thing, from binge eating, watching reality shows, eating too much ice cream, even snooping through somebody's maybe Facebook page or TikTok, or even reading exotic books. You just never know what the pleasure is. Some guilty pleasures are seen as unusual or weird. I myself, I don't know if I have what I would call guilty pleasures. I call them hobbies. Ah.
All right now.
I call them hobbies, because guilty pleasures is just that. It's a pleasure. So it's something that's supposed to be, something pleasurable. You know, I don't know. It depends on the person, I guess. It depends on the person. So, Coach, let's get into it. Do you have any guilty pleasures?
Look, you talking about those exotic books. That's my guilty pleasure. I love a good spicy romance novel. Yes, I can read that. I'm gonna tell y'all this. I know y'all gonna laugh, but I had a good book. And when I said it was spicy, it was so spicy, right? So we were traveling to Florida. It was summertime. And I had my book, and we were driving to Florida. My husband was driving. I was reading my book all the way to Florida. And when it got dark, I turned the light on in the truck so I could still read the book. Like, you couldn't put it down. That's my guilty pleasure for real. So yes, a good book. And look, while I'm talking about a good book, I'm gonna have to shout out one of my co-authors in After the Storm, Shania Taylor. Now, if y'all into spicy, exotic books now, like me, I mean, I know, we good Christian folks, right? But
Right.
y'all don't want nobody to know y'all got that guilty pleasure, and ain't nobody gonna know. But y'all go ahead and look up Shania Taylor. Ain't nobody gonna know what you're doing, and get her book Capricious. Okay, look, I gave y'all a little tip. Okay, good Christian people. Look, they're probably like, how you spell Chanel? Let me give it to you.
Right.
Nia Taylor. Get her book off Amazon, y'all. Capricious. That's a good book. Then y'all will know what my guilty pleasure is.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Tyson, I have two questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, what is your guilty pleasure? And is it okay to have a guilty pleasure?
So my guilty pleasure is, I would say, I like to sometimes binge watch my favorite show on Netflix or either Prime TV, and that's actually The Equalizer with Queen Latifah.
Okay.
And yeah, so I may watch like four of the episodes. Not, and I think people, to me, it's relaxing. You have some downtime. It's been a busy day, and you're taking time out to do something else. You don't have to think about what I got, what I got to do, or I got to do this. And so it's relaxing. So I think it's okay. Guilty pleasures are okay if a couple things. If they're not harming you or harming someone else. What do I mean by that? So, if you eat like a gallon of ice cream every night, that may be harmful to your cholesterol numbers or, your hemoglobin A1C. You may have some abnormal labs later on in the month or in the next 3 months. So if you're able to eat ice cream in moderation and it not affect your cholesterol or your blood pressure, then that's okay. It's okay to do something that's relaxing. Or say, for instance, people sometimes can become addicted to video games. So now if you're playing video games all day to the point where it's affecting your schoolwork or you can't get to work on time or you're late, then that's harmful. But if you're playing a game or two or three, but you're still able to manage to do your homework, you have good grades, you're in school on time or you're on time for work, then that's not necessarily harmful. I think it's okay to do something that's relaxing, but yet that doesn't go against your morals, your values, and that's not harmful to you or to someone else.
Right. Got it. So, you guys know that visionary author Ursula Jones wrote the book Resisting Temptation, Overcoming Addiction. And like you just said, some, guilty pleasures can turn into addiction. So, back in the past, I had a sex toy addiction. It started out as a guilty pleasure and then it turned into an addiction. So I'm glad you said that, as long as you're not harming yourself. I wasn't harming myself. But it was,
You said they got to get the book.
They got to get the book. Yeah. Get that book. She's on Amazon, Ursula Jones. She's on Amazon, #1 bestseller. Please go get it. So we all know, like Dr. Tyson said, your brain needs rest, and indulging in some pleasures, engaging with a reward pathway are always it's a ways of easing brain stress. Guilty pleasures can bring positive emotions and reduce stress. So we would say engaging, in pleasurable activities is harmless and can be considered healthy. I would say that. I would definitely say that. So,
You know
ladies,
what?
Go ahead.
Shamika, if I can, look, and as we're talking about, the exotic books and just, romance books and whatever, if you're married, it also can spice things up,
Yes,
and it's not to say that, you can have a good intimacy relationship, but, when you read, those kind of books, all kinds of things, okay, we're on Christian radio, I'm not in a coaching session. Let me back it up. But anyways, y'all know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Y'all know what I'm saying. It's you can have a different experience,
exactly.
because sometimes you just want to change things up,
Right.
It could be every couple of months or, everybody's different or whatever, every week or whatever. I'm saying as far as changing things up. Now, I'm not talking about far as the intimacy part, okay?
Right.
But just to change things up, to spice it up, when you start reading, and I'm talking to the married folks now.
Right.
When you start reading and hey, later on, your spouse like, what in the world? Baby, I don't read this book,
Yes. Yes.
So, that's a good thing too, because, a lot of times, when I am coaching married couples, and we're talking about intimacy and, why this one I want to do, that's one of the things I recommend, read a good book, because, it really, make things, y'all call me. You want to know more? Call me. We're on Christian radio here. Call me. Okay. All right.
I agree, especially if you've been in a marriage for years. You don't want to be, you don't want to be stagnant. The same thing. So a good book will definitely, help. I agree. Dr. Tyson, do you have any final words?
Again, it's okay to have a guilty pleasure as long as it's not harming you or harming someone else, or it does not become an addiction where it's keeping you from doing the daily things that you need to do, such as going to work, going to school, paying bills, taking care of your responsibilities at home, or elsewise.
Right. Well, there you have it, guys. If you have a guilty pleasure that you may be ashamed of, don't be, because only one can judge you, and that's God. And He already knows all and He sees all. So enjoy life, enjoy your guilty pleasure. Recognize that everyone has their own unique interests. It's okay to have guilty pleasures as long as you don't harm yourself or others. Enjoy in moderation and maintain a balance between your guilty pleasure and continue to reclaim your life. Thank you.